Good afternoon to all of you. I am the Senior Account Manager here at Ebsta. Today I will be showing you our new user interfaces, which is very exciting. We have updated our Ebsta for Bullhorn tools to go with the Bullhorn S release. Not only have we updated the interface, but you also now have a quicker, faster Ebsta with a couple of new features which I will be going over today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with Ebsta for Chrome. And I'm going to start with what you can do with an existing Bullhorn record. So I'm going to navigate to someone who I already know exists in my Bullhorn database. And as you can see, the first thing that happens is it's no longer red, it's actually the blue bar now that drops from the top of the screen. And this blue bar is doing a background search in Bullhorn to tell me whether Daniel Remedios exists as a candidate or contact record. Now, as you can see, we've actually made a change to the bar. So not only is it the color change, but also we now have put more information within the bar itself. So you can see in the top, I've got the first and last name. I've also got his title. I also have any contact details, so an email address or a telephone number. I also have his status and what company he's currently working for, and even a last note and last task. So this is really good information, and this is without me even opening the Ebsta bubble. But in this case, we know now that Daniel exists, so I can click open the Ebsta bubble by clicking on the Ebsta logo in the top right-hand corner. And as you can see, this is the one result that Ebsta has found. Just so you know, if there is more than one Daniel Remedios in your Bullhorn, they would all be listed here. In this case, there is just one, so I can click on the Ebsta, on the Bullhorn record, and this is my window into Bullhorn. So I've got some contact details, I've also got an address, I've also got any skills or categories, and I've also got any previously logged notes or tasks. And I've even got an activity widget right down at the bottom. So this shows me at a glance how interacted I am with a particular candidate. So for example, in this case, I've tried to submit Daniel to 9 different positions, but unfortunately never managed to place him. Now, I love this tool, right? Because inevitably, moving away from LinkedIn, you guys are going to be up to speed about what you need to know about Daniel Remedios, including all his inside Bullhorn information, to make your next, more informed, better decision. Now, what's awesome is that I can actually edit the Bullhorn record right from LinkedIn itself. So if I find out Daniel's changed his email address, or perhaps changed his telephone number, or maybe he got a promotion, all of this information is updatable right from LinkedIn, and you can either scroll to the bottom or to the top and click Save, and that's instantly updated back into the Bullhorn database. Now I can also add notes and tasks. And again, the two things I love about this is number one, it's instant. But number two, you're doing it from LinkedIn, which is where a lot of the recruiters spend a lot of their time. So you can see as soon as I click Save, that's now against the record as a note. And the tasks work in exactly the same way as well. And there we go, which is now in the tasks. Now I can also shortlist Daniel to a tear sheet or distribution list. Again, what's so fabulous about this is that, again, I'm doing it right from LinkedIn. And the second thing is that it's instant. And it's as easy as that. So he's now been shortlisted to those tear sheets. And as I said, the distribution is working exactly that way as well. Now the next button is the Plus Documents tab. So I can do two things here. Number one, I can attach Daniel's LinkedIn profile as an HTML file into Bullhorn, or I can go one step further and populate the resume CV field with the LinkedIn profile. That will actually mean that their LinkedIn profile is now searchable via the Bullhorn database. So again, just to cover that again, the first button is to attach an HTML file into Bullhorn against that record. And the second one is to put the LinkedIn profile in the resume CV field so that it's searchable via Bullhorn. Now this is really only for existing records. Now moving forward for new records, we actually do both of these things as a default automatically. So again, this is really just for existing records. So the last button is the Plus Documents, the Plus Jobs button. So this is my drop-down values in this list. Of course, we will pull your own drop-downs, so you'll all have different ones. But for example, I can shortlist Daniel to the test job at John Lewis that I'm trying to place. Click Save, and that changes the status of that candidate and vacancy within Bullhorn. So that's pretty much what I can do with an existing Bullhorn record. So let's move on to the adding side. So in the bottom left-hand corner of my Ebsta bubble, I've got my adding buttons. So again, we've coincided with the Bullhorn color scheme. So green represents a candidate, orange represents a contact, and then we also have blue, which is the company record. So just so you know, when you are adding candidates or contacts in from LinkedIn, specifically, we don't actually pull any information automatically. The reason being is because we actually don't populate any fields from LinkedIn because it's against your terms and conditions as a user of LinkedIn. So what we've done is we have come out with a little bit of a workaround. So for example, I enter the first and last name here, and I can actually click out of the Ebsta bubble. Now, I appreciate that this information sometimes isn't available to you. Perhaps you're not connected, or maybe they didn't fill in the fields, or perhaps your second-tier connection. For whatever reason, if you don't see this information, you can go on different tabs, perhaps a job board, or maybe even a company website, or perhaps you have it stored in an email somewhere. When you've copied your pieces of text, as long as you go back to the tab that you started working with and started adding with, you'll notice that the previous information you entered will almost stick there and wait for you. So it's actually pretty quick and pretty simple to add information in from LinkedIn. So I can now put my source in, and I can now click Save and add them as a new candidate record right from LinkedIn. Now if I scroll to the bottom, as I previously mentioned, we will indeed always take an HTML version of the web page where you added your candidate or contact from. And that's because of this checkbox here. So as a default, it's always checked. So unless you want us to bring nothing with you when you add a new candidate, you have to uncheck this. But if you do want the LinkedIn profile as an HTML version, we'll just leave this tick. Now, of course, adding contacts is exactly the same. The only difference is that you associate them to a company record. So we actually give you the option to do a company lookup. So I can do a lookup, and as you can see, there's two previous companies under that name, McDonald's. So I can either select one and create a new contact towards them, and you can see we actually pull in the information from the previous company into the new contact record. Or when we do the lookup, you'll also have the option to add new company records straight through Ebsta as well. So what I'd love to do now is move across to a job board. Now, I'm going to use a UK job board called CV Library, but you'll all know that we do work with all the big US job boards, Monster, Career Builder, Dice, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, even Craigslist. So they all work in the same way. So, for example, we'll go on to Jeremy Mills. And as you can see at the top, it's telling me that Bullhorn has found 0 results searching for Jeremy Mills. So again, automatic added value, because we now know we need to put him into the Bullhorn database. So I can click on the Ebsta logo in the top right-hand corner. And what our clever Ebsta will do is we'll actually pull in all the juicy information straight from the job board. As I said, guys, this is how Monster, Career Builder, Dice, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, that's how we work with all of the big ones. Okay. But if I do scroll to the bottom, you will remember that, again, we do take an HTML version, but I'm sure you'll all agree that an HTML version of a web page, of a job board, of someone's resume is definitely not professional enough for you guys to send on to your prospects, which is why we came out with the second tool, which is Ebsta for Microsoft Word. So this is now another tool. So instead of clicking Save for Jeremy, I'm actually going to click out, and instead I'm going to download the resume. Now, regardless whether someone emails me a resume or I open it up off the back of a job board, the only thing that you must make sure you do is click the Enable Editing button at the top. Once you do that, you'll actually see the same blue bar that you know and love in Chrome, but it will appear in Microsoft Word, as you can see. Now, there's really one small difference with Ebsta for Word, and it's really simply that you do have to highlight the first and last name for us to grab that into Ebsta. I'm sure you guys see so many different formats of resumes in your time. So again, you highlight the first and last name, right-click, and go to Ebsta Search at the bottom. And this will kick off the normal workflow. So again, the blue bar is doing a background search for Jeremy and Bullhorn, and it's found 0 results for Jeremy. So I now know, again, I need to put him into Bullhorn. So when I click on Ebsta in Microsoft Word, you'll notice that we very cleverly pull in all of Jeremy's contact information straight from his resume. Now, you'll also have an option and a chance to edit the record before you save, so fill in any of the additional information there. But the reason I love this tool so much, guys, is because of this Attach as Resume button. So upon me pressing Save and creating Jeremy Mills as a candidate record, if I click the Attach as Resume button, it's also going to bring in his hard Word document of his resume. And it's also going to populate the resume CV field too. So that's 3 different things that's going to happen. So number 1, I'm creating a record. Number 2, I'm bringing in a hard Word copy of the resume and putting it in the files of Jeremy's Bullhorn record. And number 3, I'm putting it in the resume CV field as well, so that it's searchable via Bullhorn. So I just want to show you what that all looks like. So of course, within Ebsta, Jeremy will now turn into an existing record where you can now do all the same actions that I showed you in Ebsta for Chrome. They're the same. This is also a cool trick. You always have a click through to Bullhorn by clicking on the name at the top. This will actually open up Bullhorn, even if you're not logged in, ask you to log in, and then take you directly to Jeremy Mills' profile. So remember, I created this candidate record moments ago. If I scroll down, there's his resume CV in the resume CV field ready to be searched on. And if I scroll to the top and go into the files, you'll see it's also there as a hard Word document too. Now, for everyone that formats their resumes, let's pretend you format your resumes by highlighting some text yellow. I'm sure you guys do more than that, but we'll just pretend for now. Once you've made a change on this document, whatever that change may be, whether it's highlighting yellow or perhaps putting your own logo here, you'll notice that you can actually click the Save button once you've made your changes, and then you can go straight back into Ebsta, make sure you're on Jeremy Mills, click the Plus Documents tab, and you can add this in as a file as a formatted version of the resume. Now, what's also fabulous is that if Jeremy sent us an updated version of his resume with a couple of extra jobs in that he forgot to put in, I could attach that as the resume. And what this means that it will do is it will make this document overwrite whatever is currently in the resume CV field. So I only showed you this Ebsta for Word tool with resume, but of course this works with any sort of Word document. So we've got contracts, invoices, job descriptions, anything like that. You now have one button in Microsoft Word to save it against a specific record within Bullhorn. So that's pretty much Ebsta for Word. So I'm now going to go back. As I said, guys, there will be a time for questions right at the end, so do write down any questions you may have about any of the specific tools and functionality. So I think it's really easy to see where we add value in places like LinkedIn and the job boards and the websites that we're optimized with, because essentially, guys, all we do is prompt you to do a next action. So it's either, yeah, this record exists, please edit and update it here, or it's no, this record doesn't exist, please add it here. That's pretty much all we do. But in terms of where we can add value in places like your prospecting website or your company website, for example, I call it the BDRing bit. So you can go on any web page in the whole internet. I've chose IMS Expert Services. You then highlight the first and last name of an individual, or you could even do a company name, so you could highlight IMS Expert Services. You then right-click and go to Ebsta Search. And that will drop the blue bar and do a background search for Bill Ween within Bullhorn. Now, as you all can see, it is telling me that Bullhorn has found no one in Bullhorn for Bill. So I can click on the Ebsta logo, and a lot like LinkedIn, you will have to copy and paste the information in. You can add Bill as a new candidate record, a new contact record, or even a new company record. Again, that will work on any website in the whole world as long as you see Ebsta in the top right-hand corner, even CNN, BBC websites. So that's pretty much the Ebsta for Chrome tool. So again, I'm going to move on to the last one, which is Ebsta for Outlook, which is the third tool that we offer. Perfect. So Ebsta for Outlook is slightly different. So when I click on an email, the blue bar will tell me whether the sender of this email exists in my Bullhorn database. I can still pop up the Ebsta window with all my window into Bullhorn. Now, there is one major difference with Ebsta for Outlook, and it's this big refresh button in the top right-hand corner of my Ebsta bubble. So at the moment, I'm clicked on an email from Daniel. My blue bar is telling me any information regarding Daniel, and the window into Bullhorn is showing me all the information in Bullhorn I have for Daniel. But if I want to click on a new email now, you'll notice that the blue bar will do my relevant search, but your window into Bullhorn will not go on to the next email until you click the refresh button. So bear in mind, guys, that you do have to click the refresh button whilst clicking on new emails if you want to interact with Bullhorn. Now, a couple of other tricks. If you do add someone, either a candidate or contact record off the back of an email, and those people have a signature, we'll actually pull in the signature information for you, as you can see. So that's pretty wicked. And over here, we have a couple of resumes that my manager sent to me. Now, these are PDF files. So just so you know, Ebsta for Word, Microsoft Word, will only work with Microsoft Word documents. So it will not work with PDF. Although that being said, if someone sends you a PDF via an email, you will be able to get that into Bullhorn. Whether it was for an existing record, you could go to the plus document and bring those attachments right through. Or even if you were adding a new candidate or contact record, again, same applies, we'll pull those through. So those are the three Ebsta tools. the last thing I want to show you, if I go into settings and go to access control panel, is just the admin panel. So not everyone will have access to this, just the administrators. This is where you can manage Ebsta from. So the subscriptions is where you can purchase Ebsta. The user/licenses is where you assign what you've purchased to an individual. But the bit that I'm most excited to show you is the CRM integration. So this is where you can completely bespoke the Ebsta layout. So on the left-hand side, these are the fields that are currently on display in this order. And on the right-hand side are all the fields that are available to you through your Bullhorn, including any custom fields right at the bottom. So when you decide what fields should be in and one or should be out, I suggest having a chat perhaps with the whole team, because this is everyone's display that the admin is controlling. But it's as easy as dragging and dropping the field wherever you would like it to be, all the same, taking it out and putting it back in the field selector. Now you've also got these cool required fields, and that's all about really manipulating all the different entries of data that you've got, making sure that the information that the recruiters are getting into Bullhorn is good quality data is very important. And of course you can bespoke the whole system for contacts as well as companies as well. So once you're done, you click the Update Layout button, the administrator, and then you all have to go to the 3 Ebsta standalone tools. Bear in mind that they are standalone, 3 separate tools. You go to the settings and go to refresh settings, and that will pull through all of the new settings that your administrator has done for you. So guys, that's pretty much the 3 Ebsta tools and the admin panel. There are a couple of things that I wanted to go over. So obviously we came out with some new UIs. So Ebsta for Chrome will be automatically updated. So you all should be on the new Ebsta for Chrome tool, which is blue now instead of red. But with Ebsta for Outlook and Ebsta for Word, all of our customers that use those 2 tools, that is an uninstall and reinstall. And I actually have pulled up, we've actually come out with a knowledge base article on that. So if you do want any help, this is the page you're looking for. You just need to uninstall Ebsta and reinstall it with the new versions. And then you'll have the new blue bar on display in Outlook and Word. Now I also wanted to quickly show you our new website. And here it is. This is the new Ebsta for Bullhorn website. So you might see a couple of people that are in this meeting that are actually headlining on our website, which is very exciting. The last thing I wanted to do was ask the questions. So if anyone did have any questions, I'm pretty sure there's a panel for you guys to send me questions, and then I can read them all out. So I'll wait for those. So here we have the first one. So the first question is, can I have a free trial? Yes, indeed. So we do offer 2-week free trials for all 3 tools. Even if you guys are using one of the tools that I've shown you, and perhaps you want to try the other 2 or something along those lines, please do reach out to britweinberg@ebsta.com. She'll be happy to set you up with any trials, which is indeed myself. Now, the next question is, how much are all 3 tools? So that is a good question. So depending on how many tools each person takes, so we obviously offer 3 different tools, Ebsta for Chrome, Ebsta for Outlook, and Ebsta for Microsoft Word. We'll start with the US dollar pricing. If you take 1 tool, it's $30 per user per month. If you take 2 tools, it's $40 per user per month. And for all 3 Ebsta tools, it's $50 per user per month, excuse me. And then we'll do the UK pricing as well for any of the UK people in the meeting. So 1 tool is £19.95 per user per month. 2 tools is £29.95 per user per month. And all 3 Ebsta tools, if you're based in the UK, is £39.95 per user per month. That being said, we only do annual and 24-month contracts. and if you aren't in the US of A, you pay in UK pounds. So we just got a question from Kristen O'Donnell. Can you run through the process again for how to ensure you're using the upgraded version of Ebsta for Chrome? So, good question, Kristen. All you have to do is go to our knowledge base. But I guess before that, if you're looking at the red bar, you know you're on the old version. And if you're looking at a blue bar, then you know you're on our new version. So that's pretty much an easy way. But again, anyone that needs any help to get the new versions specifically for Outlook and Word, you can always send me an email and I can send you the link to this knowledge base. Again, Ebsta for Chrome will update manually, and Ebsta for Chrome will update automatically, but you will have to update Outlook and Word. Apologies, it's late on a Wednesday evening. Moving on, we've got one from Mary. Mary, great question about Ebsta functionality on a Mac. Unfortunately, Ebsta for Chrome is the only one that will work on a Mac. So the Outlook and Word versions will not work on a Mac as it stands, and we don't have any plans to change that, unfortunately. And the last question is from Kristen again, and she wants to know if Ebsta works on LinkedIn Recruiter or just LinkedIn, normal free version. So we work with all versions of LinkedIn, paid, free, platinum, gold, whatever they offer, we work on it. So that's good news. Perfect. Well, listen, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. If anyone needs anything else, I'm sure you all do have my contact details. Again, my direct line from the US is 858-215-2771. Alternatively, my email address is brookeweinberg@ebsta.com. And look forward to hearing from you guys soon.